I have over 500 hours in Red Dead Online. Yeah, it's pretty sad. But anyways, there's almost nothing left to do because I have enough money that I don't know what to do with it. So I'll be spending all my money to put me back to zero.
Back where you f***ing started, Wagey.
And just like that, I had no money and I was able to delete my character. For this video, I would give myself goals and rules for the next 100 days. The first rule is that I can't do money, XP, or gold glitches or exploits. And the second rule is to have no help from friends or a second account to do trader deliveries, bounties, or something like that, which would give me a huge advantage early game. My goals for these 100 days was to complete all main story missions, including the Land of Opportunity DLC, get the best ability cards and fully max them out, buy the best horse with the best saddle and stirrups equipped, and unlock all 3 of the original roles. And with all of that being said, let's spend 100 days in Red Dead Online. Dude, who let your barber cook? That's rough, man. Can we see that hairline? Anyways. So the first thing I needed to do was select a character, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time on character creation. I just made my character look, all right. I didn't spend hours just looking for the best possible character or whatever. But eventually I got an end result I was happy with, and just like that, I was able to hop into Red Dead Online. And I did skip the intro because I've already done this before, and it's just kind of a waste of time. And I really just wanted to hop into online right away, so I would just be skipping it. All right, here we go. This is probably gonna be the best way to get gold bars. And also, before I did anything else, I made sure I got the painted black ability card. You're able to get 1 ability card for free, and painted black is probably the best one in the game, so I made sure I got that right away. I have a lot of things to do. The first thing I'm going to do is go buy a horse because I have a free token. Yeah, this horse is definitely going to need an upgrade. This is not that good at all. I'm not sure what kind of horse I can get, but hopefully it should be all right. Maybe like a mid-tier horse would be nice. After getting a horse, I got myself a saddle and I was ready to go. I first made my way to Blackwater, where I met up with this sheriff guy, Horley, and also this other, I forgot his name. I don't know what his name is. But he just says, yeah. That's it. They found someone off the streets of San Francisco. That's sick. After talking to Horley, there was now 3 missions I had to do, and they were spread out across the map, 1 in West Elizabeth and 2 in New Austin. So I just ended up doing the closest one in New Austin. Yeah, I'll go with this one. If the hat fits, that's exactly what I've been saying. Do not tell me you're about to lose to an AI. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh. Yup. What the? What? Hello? How is he still? How do you have that much ammunition? Anyways, see you later. I eventually made my way there, and I found this sheriff underneath a tree, and I eventually found a full lobby, and the sheriff told us we need to go down into the valley, where we eventually rode our horses down to, and we had to take out a bunch of guards surrounding this camp. All right, we're gonna get this guy. We're gonna arrest him. Eventually, we got to the last final enemies, and we found the guy we were looking for.
Yeah, here it could have been we snitched, man. We work with the feds.
I'm sorry, we work with the feds around here. And after capturing him, we took him back to the church by Armadillo. Level 5, nice. How much was that? 30 bucks? That's it. I would then make my way to the Tumbleweed Gunsmith. In my opinion, the bolt action rifle is the best gun in this game, so I'm gonna try to grind out for that. After doing the 100 days, the bolt action is definitely not the best gun in this game. It's easily the Carcano rifle, but I would get that a lot later. Yes, I did have 500 hours on this game, and I didn't know which one was the best. I thought it was basically just preference based, but there actually is a best gun in this game, which I will eventually get. But anyways, the main reason why I was in Tumbleweed is because there was a mission there, and we have to help this dude get his wife back or something like that. And I'm just saying, you get my stamp of approval.
He sent you, didn't he?
We're in love. Leave us be. Come on, folks. Have a heart.
We do not care.
Anyways, we eventually left the fort and brought it back to Tumbleweed, which completed the mission. The third mission I had to do was in West Elizabeth, where we had to talk to the sheriff. And it's kind of weird because in the exact same mission just before this, the sheriff didn't do anything, and it's the same way with this one. So we're the ones that have to do it. And after taking out a gang of enemies, we eventually had to capture these guys on horseback, which one of our teammates failed or whatever. So it wasn't a big deal. All we had to do was just restart and capture them all up. And the guy who got robbed wanted us to leave him on the tracks, and I completely agree. I did not want to see them spared at all. No, don't help. Don't help. Stop. And I just did not want to see him spared at all. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. But anyways, after the mission, I made my way to Blackwater, where I met up with Horley again, which meant I can now start my next mission. What? He just fell through the... Alright, whatever. And I also made my way to the barbershop. This is not necessary at all early game. I definitely don't recommend doing this, because once you first start, you have almost no money, and just wasting time on cosmetics is not really the best plan. But I wanted to get the mutton chops, and it looks pretty good, and it wasn't that expensive anyways, so I think it was worth it. Boom. I don't know why I wasted my money on that, but all right. I next went over by Tall Trees, where I had to meet up with Marshall Davis, but the problem was there was absolutely no matchmaking. So I'd have to come back like another day or just later. So after that, I decided I want to get my daily challenge streak up because it's one of the best ways to get gold in this game, and gold is super useful, especially if you're trying to get rolls. But on the way there, I got ambushed by O'Driscoll's. It was pretty easy to take them out, but the big problem is just my weapons were not that good. So eventually, I'd have to start getting better weapons. I eventually made my way to where I was supposed to go and got a super easy daily challenge done. And I also just randomly picked some flowers. I don't really know why, but I guess I was just killing time. And after that, I started up a stranger mission, and this would be a really good way to get some gold at the start. And for this mission, I had to deliver mail. Yeah, it wasn't that interesting, so I had to go to each of the spots. There were only 3 spots I had to deliver it. And one thing I do have to explain about stranger missions and a lot of other missions, including bounties, is the longer you wait, the more you get paid for it. It does not really make sense at all. You would think the faster you get it done, the more you get paid, but it's the complete opposite, and it does kind of suck. It takes a lot of time out of the 100 days, but that's just how a lot of missions work in Red Dead Online. On day 4, I made my way up to Amberino, and I had to do a Sadie Adler mission, which means A, I'll get the gold bars for doing the stranger mission, as well as some gold from the daily challenge. So all I'd have to do is take out some enemies, retrieve the wagon, and basically wait out the time until the 30-second mark, or when the timer turns red, and turn it in. And these missions are fairly easy. I'm usually just watching a video or listening to music while I'm waiting, so it's not super interesting. On day 5, I went to Blackwater. One reason is just because it's a super easy daily challenge, and I also wanted to see if I could do the Marshall Davis mission, but unfortunately, I was not able to get a game going. So I headed into Valentine, and I got myself the bolt-action rifle. Maybe this wasn't the best thing to buy, but it'd be nice for hunting, which means I can get a clean kill, and it was also on sale, so I thought I might as well take advantage of that. And I also went to the general store, and there was a free coat. I did want to see what I could get, but most of the stuff that I thought looked good was way over my price range, so I just skipped it. I also made my way into Rhodes, where I wanted to check out the bounty hunter license. Now, I already knew that I couldn't get this yet, because I was way off on gold bars, but it was just kind of annoying having this icon on the map the whole time. So this means I could go to a bounty board wherever and purchase the bounty hunter license for 15 gold bars. And I also started to do a bit of hunting with the bolt action. Now, obviously, this won't give me a lot of money, but it's better than nothing. And while I was on my way to Emerald Ranch, I got ambushed, but I was eventually able to clear them out and start up another stranger mission. For this one, all I had to do was retrieve a wagon and bring it back to Emerald Ranch. And right after that, I started up another mission. And this one, you basically just have to kill a certain amount of enemies, which was very easy to do. And it works the same way. I had to run out the timer, and I wasn't paying any attention to the timer. But fortunately, I was able to kill him just before the timer stopped, which completed the stranger mission. And on day 7, I finally got to do the Marshall Davis mission. It took so much time, but finally I got it going. And for this, it's supposed to be a stealth mission through the woods, but my teammate was not having any of that. It was just shoot anyone. I was trying to sneak around, and he was, so it was pretty much just shoot everyone. But that actually worked pretty well, where we eventually made our way down to the lake, and we killed off all the enemies.
You know what needs the bastard's head?
Whoa, 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 hey.
And after clearing out the enemies, we made our way back to the Marshal and got paid for it. And by nighttime, I made my way to New Austin, which is where Madame Nazar was. And this is how you're able to get the collector roll. But once again, obviously, I did not have enough gold bars yet, but I kind of just wanted to get it off the map once again. And I also made my way to Saint Denis, and this is where I could start up the blood money missions. Now, fortunately with these, I don't have to spend any gold bars. To be honest, they're just like another type of stranger mission, so they're not super unique, but it is another opportunity to get even more gold. On day 8, I was able to do another mission, and for this one, we had to go to Van Horn to take out one of the lieutenants, and it was very easy, especially with a squad of 4. We took out all the enemies, and we also made our way to this convoy where we had to capture this guy we were looking for, and we brought him back to the Marshal at Emerald Ranch. And just like that, there was another mission down. And I also started cooking up meat. This took a very long time, especially when you don't have the upgraded pamphlet for cooking, so I pretty much took all night, so it took a very long time to cook up all this stuff. And if you end up hunting, meat is free, and it's also the best provisions in the game, so there's really no point of going into a general store and buying stuff when you can do it for free and get higher quality. So cooking food would be very important throughout the entire 100 days. And also with the money I got, I ended up getting the Red Arabian. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this. It looks kind of cool, but the way it handles or whatever, it has elite handling. I just hate how it moves. For some reason, the elite handling seems very buggy, and the horse will go the opposite direction of where you want to go. But for now, I just would have to stick with it. At this point, anything is better than what I was rocking with, so I just have to bear with it. And after buying the horse, I made my way back to New Austin, and eventually I met up with Horley, where the next mission was to assault this fort. And it was really weird. We got this armor stuff, which made us a bit slower, but it increased our health by quite a bit. And it was only 2 of us with the armor. We just started going at it, killing as many enemies as we could, and we eventually took out the last one. And right after we took out the last one, there was a boss that spawned, and he also had armor. And right when the boss spawned in, I ended up dying. I didn't think he would have that much health, but I was very wrong. So all we had to do was restart the checkpoint, and with the help from my teammate, we were able to take him down pretty easily. And just like that, the mission was over, and we got some pretty solid money. With the money I got from that mission, I decided I want to get a little something. Now, obviously, I've said this before, that cosmetics are not the best thing to get, especially pretty early game, but I wanted to get something decent. Now, obviously, I couldn't get everything just because I don't have the money for it yet, but I was really rocking with this red and black outfit, and I would stick with this for quite a while. And after that, I headed over to the Heartlands, where we had to defend Valentine for one of the missions, and I do not know what is wrong with my character. He looks like he's seen everything. Anyways, we met up with the Marshal and Valentine, and this is why he's the GOAT, man. I'm telling you.
Thought long and hard about a speech about ethics,
Let him cook.
responsibility,
Let him cook now.
about rule of law.
Let him cook.
Then I decided I'd just do this.
But anyways, after that, we had to defend the town of Valentine. And this was quite a fun mission. And it also wasn't too bad since we had 4 players. And we had 2 people on each side defending the town. So it was pretty easy. And just like that, the mission was done. And we got paid once again. On day 10, I accepted another stranger mission. And this one, I had to go to a homestead. And there were a bunch of enemies to take out. So I just started shooting all the enemies nearby. And eventually, I stole the wagon. And once again, I had to wait out the time. And I delivered it to the drop-off. Later that day, I made my way to Tumbleweed for the final mission with the Marshal. And now I had to meet up with this guy again. I don't know what his name is, but we had to save him and the Sheriff of Tumbleweed. So once again, it was another just shooting gallery, and we had to escort both of them to safety. And eventually, we were able to get far enough away. And just like that, they were safe, and that would be the last time I saw the Marshal. And I also made my way to Strawberry, where I met this crazy woman and she sprayed me with this mist. It's such a weird role, to be honest. The only part I really like about it is you have legendary animals that you can hunt. But anyways, this whole thing is for the naturalist role. I guess this is kind of spoiling it, but I would never end up getting the naturalist role. It is very useful for the trader role, but it'd be too many gold bars, and I had more important roles to get right away. So this would have to wait for like a 200 days or something like that. But anyways, after that, I got ambushed and somebody had the switch or something. I have never seen this in my entire time playing Red Dead Online. And this actually scared me. But I was easily able to take him out. It was just some really weird bug. But anyways, I made my way to Thieves Landing, where I started up another stranger mission. And this dude's definitely from Portland. I mean, look at that. That's like the starter kit. That's what you get when you go to Portland.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Just give it. Damn.
I know some of you guys found that funny and some of you didn't find that funny. So whoever didn't find that funny is definitely from Portland. Anyways, I had to take out 4 enemies, which was pretty easy, and I lasted up the last one, and I took him out at the last second to get the maximum payout. On day 12, I met up with Horley, and this mission was to go to Blackwater, and I was the one driving the wagon, so the first thing I did was crash it, or I don't even really know what happened. I wasn't really looking, but I think I crashed it into somebody else's, like an NPC's horse or something like that, but it was fine. All I had to do was restart the checkpoint, and eventually me and my teammate made our way on top of a building, and once again, it was another shootout. I really like this mission, especially when you're taking out enemies from rooftops, which is pretty fun, but eventually after the shootout, we escorted Horley to a safe location, and just like that, we got paid once again. And now I'll be taking a huge break from doing story missions, since I have all the honorable ones done, and now I'd only have the dishonorable ones left, but it'd be quite a long time until I get to those missions. And after doing that mission, I eventually made my way to the gunsmith, and I bought myself the pump shotgun. It's definitely not the best shotgun in the game, but I really wanted something close range. In my opinion, it's a top 3 shotgun, and you unlock it at a super low level, so it just made sense to buy it. On day 13, I did another stranger mission, and this was at the McFarland Ranch.
She kind of bad though.
Now this mission was pretty simple, and with this mission, all I had to do was retrieve a wagon from some bandits, take them out, bring the wagon back, and for some reason, the screen went completely black. Thankfully, I did have the mini-map, so I did still know where I was going, but this was just a really weird bug, and overall, you'll notice a pattern with Red Dead Online. It can be somewhat normal sometimes, but most of the time, it's quite buggy. And right after that, I started a blood money mission, which this one was very, very easy. All I had to do was take out the enemies, which took no time at all, hogtied the last enemy, and I shot him at the last second, so I can get the most payout. And I also came across the guy from Portland once again, and this was literally the exact same mission of what I just did. Take out all the targeted enemies, and this last guy, I was very close. I wasn't paying attention to the timer once again, but fortunately, I was able to get the mission done. And once again, I was paid. And once again, I started up a blood money mission. Now, this mission was not that interesting at all. But one thing that was weird was while doing the mission, I got attacked by around 6 or 7 badgers. I didn't even know the badgers could attack you. It was very easy to take them out, but they had backups, so I just got attacked by a cougar. This was one of the weirdest missions I've ever played. But anyways, I was eventually able to get the mission done. And I was one step closer to getting that bounty hunter role. And for the next couple days, I really just did the same thing. So I don't think it's that important to just go over all the stranger missions that I did, grinding out a bunch until I got to 15 gold bars. But I guess one thing that was interesting is I was trying to finish off the stranger mission, you know, run out the time. And one thing that was weird is this guy just kept following me. And then the proof that I needed that he wanted to give me is when he shot at me. So I spin around the corner and shot him on him off his horse first try. This isn't really that important. I thought I might as well add that. But also I did get to rank 20, which meant I could now get a treasure map. And on day 17, I finally got the treasure map. And I got probably one of the lowest payouts I've ever gotten. I only got 0.7 gold bars, which I think is one of the lowest gold bar amounts that I've gotten. So I was literally just 0.1 away from getting the bounty hunter role. So all I had to do was go to Alden, retrieve a wagon that was protected by a bear, which is super easy. Just take out the one bear. Literally, it's just one enemy. And bring the wagon back. And I didn't wait out the time on this. I just wanted the bare minimum amount of gold. And just like that, I finally had 15 gold bars. And I went up to the closest bounty hunter board where I finally purchased the bounty hunter license. Now, I have a couple things to say about the bounty hunter role. There are a bunch of bounty boards all around the map. And this is where you're able to do bounties. There are certain tiers of bounties. Depending on how many dollar signs are above the bounty itself, will mean you either get more or less money. But to unlock those, you do need to level up. But they do just give you an extra payout. There are also things called legendary bounties, which is the main thing I will be going for. These bounties have a cooldown time, but they are very profitable, especially in the early game. So I did end up starting one. And these legendary bounties are not super different from the normal ones. Obviously they have a more cinematic, I guess, element to them. But overall, it's pretty much the same thing. And this one was definitely a weird mission. The first stage where you have to keep killing him, and it's some weird hallucination stage. And then you're finally able to capture him. Now, obviously you can kill the bounties, but that'll decrease the overall payout. So if you can, you really want to keep the bounty alive. And also one thing about these legendary bounties is there's a lot of downtime. You have to wait a full 30 minutes. Yes, that is true. 30 whole minutes just waiting around. And that's how you get the maximum payout. So a lot of times you'll just see me skinning random animals, just kind of standing there. Sometimes I'll also pick herbs, but this is basically just to kill the time so I can get the best payout possible. And there is no on-screen timer for this. You just got to keep it in your head or just set a timer yourself. But once the time was up, I turned them in and got a very solid payout. And of course, the first thing I go for right after I get my first bounty done is to just buy clothes. There was no point in doing this. I did not need to do this at all. It was pretty good looking, right? Like, you know, it's a pretty cool vest, but it just don't do this. Don't do this early game. It's just a waste of your money. And the next day I started up the same exact legendary bounty. If you're curious how I'm able to do this literally another day later, it's because it's an actual like a real life day later. So I repeated the same process. This mission is very easy, at least in my opinion. It can get difficult the more you play it because each time you complete a legendary bounty, the difficulty will increase. But overall, this is a very easy mission. So I captured him up and I spent around 30 minutes just doing whatever, just picking random flowers and stuff like that, and brought him into the Valentine Sheriff. And after finishing that mission, it got me to level 2, which I need to get all the way to level 20. Now, the bounty hunter role is by far the hardest to get to level 20, but it has a really good horse at the end. So that's one of the main reasons why I want to get it. And also, the bounty hunter role just gives you a lot of gold. And I also started cooking up some meat, which would go all the way into the next day. It just takes a long time without the pamphlet. But anyways, after that, I started up another legendary bounty. And this one was definitely a lot more unique than the rest of them. You have to fight the Wolfman. It's kind of weird, but you know, whatever. And there are no actual enemies that'll shoot at you. It's just animals, which can be bears, wolves, things like that. So eventually, after taking out a bunch of wolves, I was able to find them, capture them up, kind of just wait around for, you know, obviously the 30 minutes, and then bring them into the sheriff. And on day 21, for the first time, I did just a normal bounty. Now, these definitely are not special. Instead of putting you into a private lobby, you stay in the public lobby, and these are kind of similar to stranger missions, somewhat, I guess. All I had to do was capture the bounty, take out all the enemies, once again, wait out the time just like a stranger mission, and turn them in at the last second. One thing that's interesting as well is that there are role daily challenges now, and these will give you gold, but they'll also give you role XP, and a lot of the times you do these daily challenges on accident, so it's a great way to level up. And I also started up another stranger mission where I had to break this guy out of jail and defend him while he was looking for his stash of, I don't know, money, I guess. And once again, just wait out the timer, and just like that, the mission was done. And the main reason why I specifically did this stranger mission was just because it was for another daily challenge. So basically 2 birds with 1 stone. On day 22, I started up a new legendary bounty, and this one was Yukon Nick. One thing interesting about this legendary bounty is he does not change his spot at all. Unlike the last 2 where it could be at 3 different locations, this time he's only in this one building. So after taking out all the enemies, he was holding this officer hostage. I tried my best. I mean, I would definitely get a lot better at doing this bounty in the future. I don't even know if it decreases the price or not. I think it might, but I'm not really sure. But once again, I just did the exact same thing. Waited a good 30 minutes just doing whatever, and turned him into the sheriff. I eventually got that done, and man, I was a long ways away from another 15 gold bars. So I just kept doing more missions. So this is just a part of the grind. It just has to, you know, it's just what you have to do. But eventually it was the same deal. Take out a bunch of enemies, capture up the bounty, wait out the time, and turn them in. Once again, I started up another legendary bounty, and I definitely messed up on this one. I eventually found him, and I tried to take him alive, but a bear literally just ate him. So I decided I just wanted to redo it, because if I ended up completing it, then the difficulty would go up. So I thought I might as well just join another server and just restart the bounty. I was eventually able to capture him up, bring him all the way over to Valentine, waited out for about 30 minutes, and eventually turn him in. And I got to level 4 on the bounty hunter role, so I'm slowly but surely getting up there. And I also got a wrap for some of my guns. The main thing that this does is it means you have to clean your weapon a lot less, so it's quite useful. On day 25, I started up the Red Bed Clemson legendary bounty. And the first thing you had to do was talk to this guy where he can give you the exact spot of the bounty, but your overall payout at the end will be reduced, which I actually learned after the entire 100 days was over, is that this is not true at all. You can get the exact location and it won't take out any money. So I declined it every single time I did this mission. So basically the game is just lying to you, which is kind of dumb, I guess. But anyways, I eventually found the train. It was pretty easy. And this is one of my favorite legendary bounties. It's kind of simple. I mean, it's just a train loaded up with enemies. You take out all of them. But overall, it's pretty fun. And eventually I found them. And once again, it was the same deal. Wait out the 30 minutes, do some daily challenges, and turn them into the sheriff. And right after that, I started up another normal bounty. And I also got the maximum bonding level with my horse, which I haven't mentioned this yet. But leveling up the bonding level increases stamina, health, and it also gives you unique abilities. For example, me going side to side like that, you're only able to do it once you get to level 4. But anyways, I eventually made my way to where the bounty was, took out some enemies, hog-tied them up, and I turned them in. And I also got to level 5 on the bounty hunter roll, which unfortunately is not super interesting. There's nothing in here that I really wanted. I was mainly looking for the Breton horse at the very end. But more importantly, after reaching level 5, I was now able to get a higher reward for each one of the bounties, depending on the dollar sign. And this one was very easy. There were absolutely no enemies. This was a track down bounty, which is overall my least favorite version. I mean, there's nothing really to do. It's just following the track. But one thing that's weird about the bounty hunter daily challenges is that for some reason they didn't count this one, even though I killed literally no enemies. So this is kind of dumb. But anyways, just turned her into the Valentine Sheriff. And the next day I started up the Tobin Winfield legendary bounty. Now this is a really, really weird bounty. The second you start it, he's right there. He's literally right there. You could easily hog tie him, but no, you gotta go on this weird mission where there's an ambush. You have to take out the enemies, and you have to find this weird stash that he has in the rocks, and then after that you're able to turn him in. It's very weird, but obviously I had a 30-minute timer after that, so I spent the time going around doing daily challenges. For example, getting lucky finding this eagle and skinning it for one of the daily challenges, and I turned him into the Strawberry Sheriff. After this, I also got another treasure map, and I decided to buy the Navy revolver. Now it's kind of split on what revolver's best, either the Navy one or the Lamat. The Lamat has 9 rounds, while the Navy revolver has 6 rounds, and it's a lot more accurate. I'm not sure on the damage. It does feel like the Navy revolver does more damage, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I just really like the Navy revolver, so that's what I was rocking with. On day 28, I started up a bounty. I started this bounty at Annisburg, and the bounty was about 500 feet away from the bounty board. So this was obviously super easy. Hog tie him and turn him in. And once again, I did the same thing in Saint Denis. This was another one where you just track him down, hog tie him up, and turn him in. And I once again did the Philip Carrier bounty. And this time it was not as easy. Usually the guys with guns are not that big of a problem, but the ones that run up on you with either a knife or machete usually are the biggest danger because they can one-shot you. So unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention, and I got one-shotted. But it was alright. I spawned back in. I was able to hog tie him up, wait up to 30 minutes, and turn him in. And I was up to 9 gold bars, which is honestly a lot slower than I thought. But later in the 100 days, it seems like that process would speed up a lot, at least in terms of getting gold bars. So I just have to keep going at it. So once again, I just did a normal bounty, completely ignored all the enemies, and just went for the bounty itself. And also after this, I did a new legendary bounty, which was Seal Tucker. Now this one, you have to infiltrate a fort, take out all the enemies, and then there will be a second wave of enemies. And then this is when he finally shows up. So yeah, it's just a lot of enemies you have to take out. But eventually I hog-tied him up, brought him in, and I also just did a normal bounty on top of that, and also brought him in. And right after doing that bounty, I got attacked by a random player. He had the drop on me, and he still lost. So yeah, you better work on that, because that was pretty rough. But anyways, I did another legendary bounty, and I know this is kind of boring. It's very repetitive, but that's just kind of how Red Dead Online works. Once I get the new roles, it'll change things up quite a bit. But for now, it was just bounties. And also on this bounty, I did save the deputy, which meant his health was already super low, and I literally just tripped over something with my horse and he died. So I restarted the mission, and then right after that, I disconnected. Just so dumb. So that meant I can't do legendary bounties, so I just had to go back to doing normal bounties. And for the rest of day 30 to day 31, I was just doing the normal bounties. On day 32, I started up a new legendary bounty. This one I had to go to New Austin for, and there was no stages to this. All you have to do is just find the bounty. So just take out a bunch of enemies. Make sure you don't kill her on accident. It is sometimes hard to tell because there's so many enemies just roaming around. But eventually I got her hog tied up and pretty much messing around for 30 minutes and turning her into the sheriff. And also this was a part of my daily challenges, and I spent hours, literally hours, looking for this. It was to find this dog and follow him to something interesting, which it wasn't even that interesting. Okay, it's a dead body, like, okay. But anyways, this got all 7 of my daily challenges done, which I get an extra little bonus for, and I shot this dog because I was so sick and tired of trying to look for some dumb dog. So this dog is dead. That dog is done. But anyways, you know, another bounty, same deal. And I also did the exact same bounty once again. I also do like this bounty as well. So taking out the enemies, hog tying her up, and turning her into the Blackwater Sheriff. And I also just did another bounty on top of it. I mean, it's just like the same thing. But don't worry, very soon I'm going to be getting a new role. And one thing that's interesting is I looked in the benefits tab where I can get 5 gold bars off an item that was specific for roles. Now, there's a reason why this is important. I'm not sure if this counts for every single role. The collector's bag is a literal item, which is for the collector role. And everything else is just something you just pay for in a cutscene. So normally the collector role is 15 gold bars, and I only have to pay 10. So that means I'll be able to get the collector roll right away. So I'll finally have something else to do. And on day 35, I found out something pretty interesting is if you sell a bunch of just random plants to the doctor in either Saint Denis or Valentine, you're able to reset a reward to get a ton of gold bars just super easily. All you gotta do is turn in 100 of these random plants. And that was super easy to find because during the 30 minutes, I'm usually just collecting herbs because I just have time to kill. So overall, it's a really good way to get some easy gold. And after selling the plants to the doctor, I started up another legendary bounty. And this is obviously the same one I was just doing. Take out all the enemies, hog tie her up, and eventually turn her into the sheriff. And I was now bounty hunter level 11. So I'm definitely making my way up there. And also travel out to Madame Nazar, where I finally purchased the collector bag for 10 gold bars. And even if it wasn't 10 gold bars, this was definitely the one I wanted to get because you're able to get the most money out of this. Now, if it wasn't for the online map, the collector roll would not be that useful. But there's an online map on Google that will automatically update every single day so you know exactly where the locations are of collectibles. And these are collectibles you find all the way around the map. And they'll be either like cards or jewelry, something like that. And you sell it to her for an insane price. And that's pretty much the role. There's no combat at all. It's literally just collecting things. So it's not super interesting, but it's very profitable. And they are individual items. But if you collect them as a certain set of items, you get a lot more out of it. And I also went back to Madame Nazar to grab a shovel, which just allows me to get more items. And I now went around just collecting random items like the antique bottles and trying to get the full set of them. And this would go into day 37, where I was just looking for things. And I also got another treasure map, which is really nice to get some easy gold. And I also have to mention that I'm already collector level 4. I literally just got this roll and I'm already level 4. So that just goes to show how easy this roll is to get to level 20. It is not a problem at all. But anyways, I got the treasure chest and I got myself even more collector items. And just like that, I was already in the second tier of collector roll. So that meant I can now unlock the metal detector, which will be super useful because most of the high tier items are underground. And a lot of the times it requires a metal detector. This is not always the case. Sometimes you just can use a shovel, but most of the time it does require a metal detector. And also after this, I did start up another legendary bounty. And this is a different one I've never done before. And to be honest, this is probably the shortest legendary bounty ever. You're automatically already at the spot and it's in Saint Denis. It's in this little factory area. And also I have to mention that the police station is literally, if you're on horse, it's about less than a minute away. And if you're curious why I even came back to the bounty hunter role, it's because I need to get to level 20 still. And during the 30-minute wait period, I can literally just collect items. So instead of wasting my time just doing random stuff like picking herbs and just sitting there, I can actually be doing things to get myself even more money. So overall, this is a great way to level up the collector role and get myself a bunch of gold and money at the same time. And also, I don't even know what happened after I turned her in. This is what happens when you let hackers just completely flood your game.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? That is not funny. That is not, there is nothing good. There's nothing creative about this.
Anyways, right after that, I sold off the set that I had for the collector role. And I spent the rest of the day just not doing any bounties and solely focusing on just collecting as many items as I possibly could. And right after that, I turned them into the post office and I was making an insane amount of money. Also on top of that, I did get to level 35, which meant I can now get another treasure map. And I also got up to level 10 on the collector role. This just goes to show how easy you're able to make progress in this role. So I'll reach level 20 in no time. And on day 40, I did the exact same thing. I got myself a bunch more collectibles and I also uncovered a treasure map where I got myself 1 gold bar, but I got $20, literally $20. That's one of the lowest dollar amounts I've gotten, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm mainly just worried about getting the most amount of gold bars. And I sold off more sets of collector's items. And also after that, I got the Nakadoches saddle. This is absolutely the best saddle in the game. And the thing that's great about saddles is it's not permanent on your horse. So once I get the max level bounty hunter horse, I can literally just transfer it over to it. So I basically just went all out. Now the saddle does more than the horse really does, which is very surprising. Your horse can go from kind of mediocre to one of the best in the game just by using a saddle. And I also got the lantern on my saddle. It's not necessary, but it's just kind of nice to have. And also after that, with the money I had, I spent $500 to get the tier 3 of painted black. And I also bought myself strange medicine, cold-blooded, and eye for an eye. Now these are probably the best for PvE and online. And once I get to level 40, I'll be able to equip all of them. But for now, I just have to go with 3. And I also got myself another holster. I didn't have enough for the belt and the offhand holster. It was just the offhand holster for now, but it looked really nice. And also got back to doing bounties. Once again, red bed Clemson was pretty easy. Just take out the enemies, hog tie them up, and then turn them in. And I'll continue to do bounties throughout day 42. There was one I messed up on accident. I wasn't paying any attention to the timer. So that was pretty unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just kept grinding out gold and just trying to get the bounty hunter roll to level 20 because I just wanted this horse so badly. I was so sick of this Red Arabian. On day 43, I got some more collectibles, sold some plants with the doctor and Valentine, and I did the Red Ben Clemson bounty again. And after turning him in, I got to level 13. And on day 44, I did another bounty, and I tried to hog tie him up, and he died. I slammed him on the rock, and he died right away. Keep in mind, I didn't shoot him at all. He just was very weak, apparently, and I just instantly killed him. So that kind of sucks, but I mean, either way, I turned him in. It's just over and over, same deal. The only thing that was really interesting is I got myself another treasure map, which finally after this, I was so close to getting another roll. So all I was going to have to do was do one more legendary bounty. This is one I haven't done before where he's in the sniper tower. Kind of one of the more difficult bounties in my opinion, but I was eventually able to get it done, hog tie him up. Basically, if you get close to him, he's not much of a threat. Only if you're far away and he can snipe you, that's when he really does damage to you. But I was eventually able to get him, turn him in, and I also got to level 15 on the collector roll. And right after that, I made my way into Valentine, where I could finally purchase my personal favorite roll, which is the trader roll. A lot of people like the bounty hunter roll the most, but I just don't. It seems a little too repetitive for me. I do like the roll. It is one of my favorites, but overall, I think the trader roll is more fun. Just hunting things is way more fun in my opinion. I don't know. The trader roll is one of those things that it starts off pretty slow, but then it can start to give you a ton of money. So it's going to start off with pretty much nothing, and then you're going to get a bunch out of it. After buying the roll, you get a butcher table at camp, and this is where you're able to turn the animals into. You don't want to skin the animals. You want to sell them just as a whole animal. And there are 3 different bars I'm going to quickly explain. The materials on the top are the actual carcasses you turn in. Each animal has a different amount of materials once you turn them in. So something like a rabbit wouldn't do you much, but selling a perfect cougar would give you a ton of materials. The production is how Crips turns materials into goods. So every 25 goods he creates, you're going to need to do another resupply mission or just order supplies. So this will keep the goods going. And at the very end, you got the goods, which is what you'll actually sell. And the more goods you have, the more money you're going to get. And overall, that's his trader roll in a nutshell. And by far, one of the best ways to hunt is just track down an animal on horseback. Use Deadeye and try to get a headshot on the animal to get yourself a clean kill. On day 46, I purchased another Navy revolver because this whole time I've been using one Navy revolver and then one Cattleman. But now I'm going to have both of the exact same, which is really nice. It's a lot better upgrade than the Cattleman. And also, I got back to doing bounty hunter missions. This was the exact same mission with the sniper tower. Take out a bunch of the enemies, eventually get up to the top there, and I almost died here, but fortunately I was able to get him hog tied up. I got myself some collectibles on the way there and turned them in at the end. On pretty much all of day 47, I just spent the entire time getting collectibles, and I was able to turn in 3 sets by the end of the day, so that was pretty good. And since I had a decent amount of money after that, I decided I also want to get myself the belt that I wanted, because this belt looks absolutely sick. It's part of the bounty hunter roll, and it's by far one of my favorite belts in the game. And on day 48, I did the exact same thing. I started up the legendary bounty, and as I had him hog tied, he got shot by an AI. So literally, I just had to restart it. It was fine though. I was eventually able to recapture him and turn him into the sheriff, but that was kind of annoying. But I guess it is what it is. And after that, I was on level 15 for the bounty hunter roll, and now I only had 25% left to go. So I'm really just trying to finish this roll at this point. So I just started doing normal bounties, turning them into the sheriff. I also uncovered another treasure map where obviously I got the gold from that, but more importantly, I got 10 gold bars for turning on 2-step verification. Now, although I've had this game for so long, I never even knew about this. I did not know you can get 10 full gold bars from just turning on 2-step verification. So I was now up to 14 gold bars, and some people might call this cheating for doing the 2-step verification. And I mean, I wasn't doing any glitches or buying any gold bars with real money, so I'm gonna say it's fair for the 100 days. And also the same day, I did a daily challenge where I petted a dog. It's not really that important, but I thought I might as well just, you know, put that in there. And I also purchased this red vest, which I think the red and black combo goes pretty well together, and it also matches my saddle on top of it. And on day 50, I spent the entire day just collecting things. So on day 51, I turned in a bunch of sets, and I got a ton of money at the end of it. So I started upgrading my ability cards. Now, this was one of my goals at the start of the 100 days. This would make me far more capable in battle. So now I only needed 2 more upgrades. And I also went to Madame Nazar again, where I purchased the metal detector. Now, this is quite expensive, but in the long run, it'd be worth it. And I'm not gonna lie, these next 4 days were not that interesting. So from the rest of day 52 all the way to 56, I spent the entire time doing bounties. I was just trying my very best to get this roll done. And I also got myself another treasure map from ranking up. I checked this cave and there was nothing in there. And then right when I left, some bear came up and attacked me. It was very odd. Anyways, after that, I did another bounty, and this went through the whole day until finally day 57. I finally got to level 20 on the bounty hunter roll. This took so long to do, but I eventually got this done, and I got myself the Breton that I wanted this whole time. It's easily one of the coolest looking horses in the game, in my opinion, at least. And I put the Nakadoji saddle on, but the problem was I also needed the hooded stirrups, which is not that many levels away, so that's what I wanted to get to next. It'll overall decrease how much stamina is used. On day 58, I got myself more collectibles. I turned in some sets, and I also got to the right level where I can get the hooded stirrups. So now I finally have the max out horse that I want. The only thing I really need to do is get the max level bonding, and just like that, I got the best horse in the game. And this horse is an absolute tank. It has so much stamina, you almost never run out. Even if you're running full speed, you pretty much won't run out at all. You don't need tonics or anything like that. And these things can also take a point blank explosive. I do not know. These things are just built completely different. But anyways, I made my way to the fence, and this is a controversial thing that I bought, I guess, but I bought the cooking pamphlet. Now, this was pretty much all the money I had at the moment, and I was going to get it either way, either if it was now or later. later. And I didn't really have anything important to buy for the rolls yet that would get me money like the hunting wagon. So I thought this made sense to buy. And I also made my way to Crips, where I started up a resupply mission. And this will get you goods, but it also start your production back up. And one of the best ways to level up is to literally just sell goods when there's only like 1 or 2 goods, because you get the same amount of XP if it's 25 goods or just 1 good. So that's going to be the best way to do it. But I didn't have the optimal spot where you're supposed to put the camp to do this. But literally in just one day I would figure it out. And I also tried to sell my goods into Blackwater, and yeah, the wagon just randomly disappeared. I'll tell you what, this game is very buggy sometimes. On day 59, I got myself a treasure map, and I put my camp at Gaptooth Ridge. The reason why this is so important is because where the delivery spot is. And for some reason, I got it first try, the exact camp I needed, the exact spot in Gaptooth Ridge, which is really nice. It saves a lot of time. You only need to go to either 2 places, which is Scratching Post or Benedict Point, which is the one I had to go to for right now. Both are not that far away, so I just dropped off the goods and got the XP. And I also tested out my cooking pamphlet, which obviously this will speed up the process quite a lot. Today 62, I spent the entire time just working on the trader roll, and I wasn't expecting to do this in the 100 days. I don't really know why, but I just didn't think I'd get gold bars this quickly. But on day 63, I purchased the moonshine roll. Now I had to go to Emerald Ranch for this, and in this roll you get your own property. It's 25 gold bars, which is 10 more than every other roll except for the naturalist, but it's easily one of the best rolls because it's basically just passive money. You don't need to do pretty much any work at all. You do need to do work in the beginning, but once you get to a certain level, it's literally just a breeze. You're gonna get so much money out of this roll for just doing nothing. So the first thing I needed to do before I even started up the moonshine business was to free the cook and bring him back to the moonshine shack. And I decided to put the moonshine shack in the swamp, which is by far my favorite location. And then the next thing I had to do after that was just steal some supplies from a wagon, which was very easy, and bring it back to the moonshine shack. And literally just like that, we got the moonshine business started up, and I was all ready to go.
I am happy to say we are officially in business.
Tell them to bring me my money.
And another thing about the moonshine business is there actually are story missions. And these will give you a ton of XP, and they're just really fun. They're probably some of my favorite missions in Red Dead Online. So the first thing I needed to do was collect this document, and it shows a location of a spot. So I eventually made my way there, where we had to free this guy Lem from a police wagon. And this was an insane wave of enemies. I don't think I've gotten this many enemies just as a this is like COD Zombies. But I guess it kind of makes sense because you kind of have to be like later in the game to even get this role. So it makes sense why they threw this many enemies at you, but it was just like a crazy shooting gallery. But eventually I was able to take them all out and bring Lem back to our moonshine shack. And he also gave us some like backstory or something like that.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth. If you still even remember that name. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
And also, I don't even know what happened here. I'm on fire or something like this. And I tried to put it out in the water, and that didn't help at all. So the game is just completely full of, like, modders and hackers. It doesn't really ruin the game, but they'll just do weird things like this. So, anyways, I thought I'd mention that. Anyways, right after that, I did a bootlegger mission. And for this one, all you have to do is take out revenue agents, which is very easy. And just like that, you get a ton of XP for the moonshiner roll. And it also decreases the amount you have to pay for your production. And I also started on my first moonshine batch. And you do have to pay a little bit of money to make the moonshine batch, but you will make profit out of it. And the further you get into the role, the more profit you'll make out of it. On day 65, I started up another bootlegger mission, and this one was pretty fun. It's just a bar fight. You just gotta go to a saloon and just beat up a bunch of people.
Dive in it, bro!
So I got that done, and I also got a treasure map. So obviously I went to look for the treasure chest and got some golden money out of that. And right after that, my moonshine batch was done. So now I got to deliver it. And the thing about the swamp is you don't have to go that far away to even deliver it. So all I had to do was go to the Saint Denis saloon, drop it off there, and get paid. And the same day, I started up another story mission because it was now off the cooldown. And this one I had to look for explosives, which all I had to do was a little bit of searching. And after finding the explosives, I made my way to competitors' stills, planted the explosives on there, and blew them up. Basically, the whole objective of this is just to remove more of the competition. And just like that, the mission was done. And also, this guy randomly just came into our moonshine shack, but he would appear later in another story mission, so he's not completely gone yet. And also after that, I did another bootlegger mission, which this one's also pretty easy. They're all very easy in general, where I just had to use Molotovs and just burn up some crops. So that's an easy way to get some more XP. On day 66, I started up another moonshine batch, and while I was waiting, I did start up the trader roll once again. I still am trying to level this thing up. It just takes a very long time. So I was just waiting for the moonshine batch to be done. Once it was done, I made my way to the moonshine shack. Try to carefully drive the wagon there, because if you drive recklessly, you can break some of the bottles, which means you'll get paid less. So you want to try to drive as carefully as possible as to not break any of the bottles. And right after that, I started up another story mission, and this one started in Annisburg. And basically, we just had to fight off a bunch of revenue agents. And then we got into a big boat where we had to defend ourselves from other little boats. And I also had to start shooting enemies from the shore. And this definitely wore out my guns a lot. It turned my guns really dirty. But eventually eventually I was able to take them all out. And after around a 6-minute boat ride, we eventually made our way to Saint Denis, where the mission was finished. And right after the mission, I went into my bar that was non-existent. I haven't bought the bar expansion yet, so I was in like the void or something, so I had to just restart my game, which is just a really weird bug. On day 67, I started up another story mission, where the first thing I had to do was collect some items, kill a black bear for its fat, and I had to make this weird mixture, but I guess it was just required for the objective. And kind of the same deal, where I just took out a bunch of moonshine supplies, and once again, I got the exact same glitch that I just gotten, so once again, I just had to restart. But I was making a lot of progress on this moonshine roll. And the same day, I did another bootlegger mission, where all I did was take out a moonshine still, take out some enemies, and just like that, it was done. And right after that, I started up another moonshine production, and also on top of that, I can get another treasure map. So after a little bit of searching and continuing to go in circles, even though the treasure is literally right in front of me, I eventually did find it and returned back to my moonshine shack the next day, where I did another bootlegger mission. Now I was literally just trying to get as much moonshine roll XP as I possibly could, and as fast as I could, so I can get the upgrades quicker. And this is where I came across my last moonshine story mission, where we had to make our way to this one spot, and we got caught by the revenue agents. And this dude completely lost his mind, apparently.
Bastard! Snapped. I didn't know what else to do.
So yeah, just like that, we almost died because this dude was mad. I don't know, whatever. But eventually I took out just a bunch of enemies, and for some reason the hitbox was off, so I had to use the iron sights. But eventually we found the main antagonist and just easily took him out with Deadeye. And we also captured this one guy I was just talking about, that way we'd see once again. And we were told to bring him back to the moonshine shack, where we literally brought him there and then just automatically let him go. So like, what was the point of me even doing that? Anyways, after that, I was on level 4 of the moonshine roll, and also my next batch was done. And I sold off the batch, and I wasn't paying any attention, and while I was driving, I literally just ran into a whole tree. So that did break 3 of my bottles, but I mean, it was fine. Overall, I got most of the money. And right after that, I started up another batch. And then doing this bootlegger mission, this guy I had to escort him back to his house or whatever. And this was a very like weird bootlegger mission, but eventually I got it done. And I also went on a complete rampage in Saint Denis. The whole reason of me trying to do this is because I want to get a lower honor level. And once I did that, I would finally be able to finish off the Land of Opportunity missions. Yes, the story missions, I still haven't got all of them done yet. I was trying to do matchmaking, but it wasn't working, so I was gonna have to wait a little bit. And while I was waiting, I did a bootlegger mission, which was just burn the crops once again. And on day 70, I was able to get the mission going, which the first thing we had to do was take out a train of enemies and then go to this factory in the Heartlands. And for some reason, this mission was very buggy. It was stuttering a bunch and the enemies weren't there, but thankfully I eventually got it done. And I was trying to just mess around with the settings, but it was just a one-off thing, so thankfully it returned back to normal. And also my moonshine batch was done, so I delivered that and I was now on rank 5. And literally right after that, I started up another bootlegger mission, and right after that, I was finally able to get a business upgrade, and this would increase the amount you get paid for the moonshine business. So instead of selling it for around $70 to $80, I would now be selling it for about $144. It does take a little bit longer, but it's 100% worth it. And on day 71, I just did another bootlegger mission, and I did get back to the trader role a little bit because I still need to level that up. I started day 72 by clearing out a hideout, and I also sold my moonshine, which is my first average moonshine that I sold, which obviously I already told you, it gets me more money. And I went back to Crypts where I found this really weird bug. I was trying to do a resupply mission and I had to find this very specific deer that was already skinned and it was a long ways away. It was so odd because I couldn't turn in a normal deer. Tried to drop it off and it just didn't work. So I just blew him up. And this is what I was talking about. My horse could take a literal point blank explosive. I don't know what the deal was. The game was just bugged. So that was pretty stupid. But anyways, next day I did start up the story missions once again. And this one we had to take out a full fort of enemies. I've done similar things like this, especially while doing one of the bounties here. But the whole objective was just to blow up a bunch of ammunition and take out all the guards around it. And just like that, it was a pretty simple mission. Got paid and the mission was done. And once again, I just did another bootlegger mission. I know this is not very interesting, but you know, that's kind of just how the 100 days goes. I kind of have to just document what I've been doing. But anyways, I was eventually able to take down the moonshine still, take out the rest of the guards, start up another batch. And I also want to start up another story mission here. I was getting close to the end. And for this one, me and my teammate had to find a wagon. There was 2 wagons in total, so I took one and my teammate took the other one. It was very easy. Just take out a couple guards, steal the wagon, and bring it back to this guy. So overall, we did that with not much difficulty. On day 74 was the same deal. I started up a bootleg mission, and I also got myself to level 70. After that, I got some supplies for the trader role, took out some wolves defending it, and I brought it back to Crypts. And once again, I copied the exact same strategy. Sell the goods with pretty much nothing, with either 1 or 2 goods, get the XP, and pretty much just repeat the process. And I also came across a free roam bootleg mission, and after clearing out the enemies, I was at rank 7 for the moonshiner role. And this one's pretty exciting. On day 75, we were robbing a bank, and for this mission, you have to change your clothes or whatever, and you got the whole suit and everything, so this is like some payday heist or whatever. But making our way into the bank, I got the bonds, while my 2 other teammates cracked open the safe. And I'm telling you, this was a full payday heist. We had to take out the police and everything. Then we had to run into the graveyard, obviously faced off against a bunch of waves of enemies, and eventually run through this alleyway where we ran onto a train. And yeah, just like that, the mission was done. And we obviously got paid for robbing the bank. And also right after that, something really weird happened. Obviously another like hacker or something like this. Yeah, I really don't know what the deal is with this. I just died by nothing. So I don't really know. I don't know what happened at all. But yeah, that was just something very odd. And on day 75, my moonshine batch was done. So I sold that. And I also did that same bar fight mission. It's kind of just mindless. You kind of just take out a bunch of enemies, but it's overall one of my favorite bootleg missions. And also with some spare cash, I just bought this exact same outfit pretty much that I already had. And I just bought it in blue, which I think looks pretty nice. And I also started on my moonshine production once again. And I figured this out for the first time. I can actually get the Arthur Morgan outfit. Now, usually this is just stuck in one of the battle passes or whatever, but you're able to buy it, but it's ridiculous. You have to spend 52 gold bars to even get it. So there's no chance of getting this in the 100 days, but it's definitely something I will want eventually if I end up doing it 200 days or something like that. But yeah, it's just way overpriced. And I also sold off everything that I have to Madame Nazar. Now, these were not collections or anything like that. And I know this is not a good idea at all. You do really want to sell them as a set, but I guess I was just impatient and I just wanted a quick buck. So I sold off everything, but it's okay. I'll eventually make it back. And then after that, I started up the trader business again, just trying to level it up as much as possible. I then sold off my moonshine, and it was pretty much me doing the exact same thing the next day. But one unfortunate thing that happened is I was just AFK trying to sell my moonshine. I was gone for a good like 20 seconds. That's about it. And I didn't even know they could do this, but one of the revenue agents threw a stick of dynamite right at my wagon, instantly destroying it. So I would always be watching out for these guys for the rest of the 100 days. And the next day, I just started up a bootlegger mission, and I also finally started to do some proper hunting. A lot of the times, I really wouldn't do much hunting because the resupply missions will just do it for itself. And if I'm turning in one good, then why does it really matter to hunt that much? But now I was getting sick of doing just one good. And now I also have the medium wagon, so it just makes more sense to do that. So I'm finally making solid progress in the trader role. And on day 80, I did a bootlegger mission, and I was now up to moonshiner level 9. And right after that, I sold off my moonshine and just got back to doing the trader role. So nothing super special, and that would go for the rest of the day. On day 81, I was cooking up some meat that I had, and I was also looking at the Wilderness Outfitters, and there's a pretty solid tent in here that'll upgrade your stats for your camp. And it was on sale, so I definitely wanted to save up to get this. And I also got myself another treasure chest, which I opened that and got the reward. And I'm not gonna lie, I just want to skip over a lot of this. It's literally me just doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. So from the rest of day 81 all the way to day 86, I'm doing a combination of doing trader roll, moonshiner roll, as well as getting collectibles. So I'm just gonna skip over all these days. On day 87, I was getting more collectibles, and by this point, I was able to sell 5 sets, so that definitely got my money up quite a bit. And I kept doing more trader deliveries, and by the end of this delivery, I was level 10 on the trader roll and the large delivery wagon, which means I could finally be making crazy money off the trader roll. On day 88, I got a treasure chest, but more importantly, I bought the 2 wagons, and also on top of all this, I maxed out all my ability cards, so just like that, there was another gold done. And then making my way down to the stable, I could finally use the hunting wagon, which would make hunting so much easier, and it also saved the animal carcasses. So if Crypts is full on materials, you can literally just keep the animals in the back, and even if you transfer servers, they'll still be saved, so that's really nice. And I also decided to buy myself the Carcano rifle. This is by far the best rifle in the game, and I took way too long to get this, but it's better late than never, so I finally have this. And from the rest of day 88 to 91, it was more of the same: moonshine, hunting, and then collecting. On day 92, I turned in the sets that I got. I dropped off some of my moonshine, and also got myself the semi-auto shotgun. Now, I heard this is a really good shotgun for legendary animals. I'm not sure how good it is in terms of PvE, or I guess just normal enemies, but I decided to use this as my primary shotgun for the rest of the 100 days. And I also bought this outfit with the sombrero and poncho. I think this looks super cool, but I decided to get the red poncho. I just think it looks better. And I'd be rocking with this for a little bit, but overall, it was more of the same. Another resupply mission, but there was a lot more hunting in between, and I was getting close to getting my first 100% good delivery, so that would give me a ton of money, as well as dropping off some moonshine. And because I was doing a lot of collecting, I wanted to make my way to Madame Nazar. I ran up on these guys that were literally like just duping items in their chest or something like that. I'm assuming they were modding. I'm sure this is not a thing in game. I mean, come on, what are you doing?
You gotta be ashamed of yourself, nigga. Real talk. You gotta be ashamed of yourself. Old as you is.
But anyways, I just didn't grab any of it. Yeah, sure, it was tempting, but no, I'm definitely not doing that. And after selling all the sets as well as just all the items, I got all the way up to $3,500, which is completely insane. I did not think I had this many collector items. I mean, I have been doing quite a lot of collecting in between, but this is just ridiculous. So I was very surprised when this happened. And also something that happened right after this is I finally did my full 100% good delivery. I just did the short delivery because I didn't feel like I wanted to do the long delivery. That would just take way too long. And after completing it, I got a solid $500. It can go up to $625, but that's only if you do the long distance one. And I also made my way back to camp because I had so much money. There was a lot of things I wanted to get. So the first thing I got was the tent, as well as the stew pot, which might sound kind of weird, but it's the best item for your provisions, where you can get golden cores. So that's super nice. And I also got myself the fast travel post. Now this one people might be like hit or miss on if I should even get it, but in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. And I also got myself the bar expansion, as well as the band on top of it. So after that, I pretty much spent everything that I had. Yes, it did suck to go down to pretty much nothing, but it was 100% worth it. I got a bunch of the things I want, and I also decided to go down to my bar for the first time, which is actually really cool to get. I didn't think I would get this in the 100 days, but literally only 4 days before it ended, I was able to get it. And I also got a little bar decor, which makes it look a lot nicer. It was 10 gold bars. Some people might say this is not worth it at all, but it looks so much better with this, so I thought it was worth it. And also right after that, I decided, you know, I was kind of up now. Well, I mean, I'm down because I spent a lot of money. But you know what I mean? I'm up. So I decided I want to get a suit and everything. A new haircut. I was looking pretty fresh. And I also decided I was just going to rob this random dude because, you know, I was up at that point.
There's some coins to rob.
You are poor.
Damn!
And I'm not gonna lie, right after I assaulted this dude and robbed him, I walked in the gun store scot-free. So anyways, I just got some upgrades for my gun, which I made it look a little bit nicer. And I did make my way down to the new bar that I got, and it was looking pretty good. On day 97, I started up a resupply mission. I brought the supplies back to the camp where I got the trade to level 13. And for the next couple of days, I just did some hunting. There's not really much I can do. The 100 days is almost over, so I mean, I just kind of did whatever I could. So the only thing I did in between that was hunting. I delivered some moonshine, where I then got some moonshine to level 17. And for day 100, I went back to the tailor, where honestly, I got probably the best outfit I've gotten so far. I know I've gotten a lot of outfits so far in the last just couple days, really. But I got this all black outfit with a little bit of chrome on top of it, and it was looking pretty good. And I also wanted to get to max dishonor, so I had to do what I had to do.
Your time has come. There's no way out of this one.
Anyways, after the complete rampage, I got the maximum dishonor. I sold the final goods that I had. I added a new grip to my pistols. And just like that, the 100 days were up. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you guys enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe, because this video by far has taken the longest out of any of them. This was probably around 200 hours to make. But anyways, I got a lot of videos on the way, as well as one of these longer videos that is not related to the 100 days. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And also let me know if you want to see 200 days of this. And yeah, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.